Picture this scenario, because I bet almost everyone listening to this has felt it in the pit of their stomach at least once. You were driving to work, maybe running a few minutes late, and suddenly, that check engine light pops on. Your heart sinks. You know, logically, that fixing the problem right now might cost $300, but you look at your bank account and you have exactly $42 to your name until Friday. So, what do? You ignore it. You turn up the radio to drown out that weird rattling noise. You pray. 2 months go by. And because you didn't have that $300, the car breaks down right on the highway. Now, do the math with me. You need a tow truck. That is $200. The original part that was broken has now destroyed your transmission, so the repair is $2,000. And because you can't get to work, you miss 2 shifts and lose $300 in wages. Now, let that sink in. That initial inability to pay $300 has now spiraled into a $2,500 catastrophe. This isn't just bad luck. This is a mathematical trap. It is the distinct, measurable, and suffocating cost of not having money. Here's the thing about money that most financial gurus get wrong. They tell you that wealth is a result of discipline and poverty is a result of bad habits. They say things like, stop buying lattes or cancel Netflix, as if saving $12 a month is going to revolutionize your life. But that advice ignores a fundamental economic reality known as the boots theory. It comes from a novel by Terry Pratchett, and honestly, it explains the wealth gap better than most economists with PhDs. The theory goes like this. Take 2 men. One is rich, one is poor. The rich man buys a pair of $50 boots. They are high-quality leather, stitched properly. Those boots last him 10 years. The poor man cannot afford $50. He only has $10, so he buys the cheap cardboard-soled boots. But those boots fall apart after just 1 season. So the next year, he has to spend another $10, and the year after that. Over the same 10-year period, the poor man has spent $100 on boots. That is double what the rich man spent. And yet, he still has wet feet. The rich man is dry, comfortable, and $50 richer. This is the math of being poor. You are forced to pay a premium for the lack of capital. You might be thinking, okay, that is a nice story about boots, but how does that apply to my actual life in 2025? Well, look around you. This dynamic is everywhere. Let's talk about something as basic as toilet paper. It sounds ridiculous, I know, but stay with me. If you have $50 to spare, you go to Costco or Sam's Club. You buy the mega pack. The cost per roll is tiny. You are set for months. But if you are living paycheck to paycheck, you don't have $50 to lock up in toilet paper inventory. You have $4. So you go to the corner store and you buy the 4-pack. The cost per roll is suddenly $1.50. You are literally paying 3 times more for the exact same product simply because you couldn't afford the bulk price. This is what we call the poverty premium. But it gets significantly darker than just groceries. Let's talk about the banking system. This is where I get genuinely frustrated because the system is designed to punish you for stumbling. If you have $10,000 in your account, the bank treats you like royalty. No fees, free checks, maybe even some interest. But let's say you are struggling. You have $20 in your account. A subscription you forgot about hits for $25. You are now negative $5. Does the bank say, hey, looks like you're having a rough month, let's cover you? No, they hit you with a $35 overdraft fee. Think about the math on that transaction. You effectively borrowed $5 for a day, and it cost you $35. That is an interest rate of 700%. If a loan shark did that, they would go to jail. When a bank does it, it's just standard policy. The rich get paid interest, the poor pay interest. It is a wealth transfer from the bottom to the top, disguised as service fees. And look, I know what you are going to say. You're going to say, well, just don't spend money you don't have. And theoretically, yes, you are right. But psychology plays a massive role here that we cannot ignore. There is a concept called scarcity mindset. Studies have shown that when you are legitimately worried about money, when you don't know how you're going to pay rent next week, your functional IQ actually drops by about 13 points. That is the equivalent of missing an entire night of sleep. Your brain is so consumed with immediate survival that you physically lose the capacity to make long-term strategic decisions. This is why when people are broke, they often make decisions that look stupid to outsiders. They take the payday loan with 400% interest. They eat the fast food instead of cooking. It's not because they are dumb. It's because their cognitive bandwidth is maxed out just trying to survive the day. Now, let's apply this to something bigger than boots. Let's talk about cars. In most places, you need a car to get to work. A wealthy person buys a 3-year-old Toyota. They get a low-interest loan at maybe 4%. The car runs for 10 years. Total cost? Low. Now, look at the person with bad credit. They go to a predatory dealership. They buy a high-mileage clunker that is worth maybe $4,000, but the dealer sells it to them for $8,000. Then, because they have bad credit, the interest rate is 24%. If you do the math, over the life of that loan, they might pay $15,000 for a car that was barely worth $4,000. And here's the kicker. Pause for impact. The car will likely break down before the loan is paid off. So they are still making monthly payments on a dead car while trying to figure out how to get to work. This is the poverty trap in high definition. You aren't just paying for the car. You are paying a risk premium because society has deemed you risky. And we haven't even touched on housing. Renting versus owning is the ultimate Boots theory example. Think about it. When you rent, you are paying 100% interest. You get zero equity. You are paying your landlord's mortgage plus a profit margin. But to buy a house, you need a down payment, maybe $10,000 or $20,000. If you were paying 50% of your income in rent because prices are sky high, you can never save that down payment. You are trapped paying $2,000 a month in rent for an apartment that would cost you $1,200 a month if you owned it. The rich person buys the house, lowers their monthly costs, and gains an asset. The poor person pays more monthly for an asset they will never own. It is expensive to be poor because you are renting your entire existence. You are renting your shelter, you are renting your money through credit card interest, you are renting your stability. So this is where it gets really interesting, and honestly, a little scary. There is a hidden tax on your time as well. Think about the laundromat. If you have a washer and dryer in your house, doing laundry takes 5 minutes of active work. You throw it in, you walk away. If you have to go to a laundromat, it costs you $5 in quarters, but it also costs you 2 hours of your life. You have to travel there, wait, and travel back. That is 2 hours you cannot spend working, resting, or being with your family. Or think about food deserts. If you live in a low-income area, you might not have a giant grocery store with fair prices nearby. To get to the real store, you might need to take a bus, pay the fare, plus an hour of travel time. The friction of daily life is higher when you don't have money. Everything is harder, everything takes longer. And time, as we know, is money. By stealing your time, poverty steals your future earning potential. Now, I can hear the objections already. Bobby, this is depressing. You were telling me the system is rigged and I am screwed because I can't afford the nice boots. And look, I get it. It is depressing. But understanding the math is the only way to break the equation. Most people ignore this because it is painful. but you have to look at the numbers to find the exit. The problem is that standard financial advice tells you to invest in the stock market to get an 8% return. But if you are poor, the best investment you can make isn't the S&P 500. It is escaping the Boots Theory penalties. If you have credit card debt at 20% interest, paying that off is a guaranteed 20% return on your money. No stock picker in the world can promise you that. If you buy a reliable toaster for $50 so you don't have to replace the $10 one every year, that is a massive return on investment. This brings us to the most critical concept, the buffer. The only way to stop the cycle is to artificially create a period where you don't buy any boots at all, so you can save for the good ones. This is why the emergency fund, that first $1,000, is not just boring advice. It is the weapon that destroys the poverty premium. When you have $1,000 in the bank, a flat tire is just an annoyance, not a financial crisis that forces you into a payday loan. That $1,000 allows you to buy the bulk toilet paper. It switches the game from defense to offense. But here's the trap. When you finally get a little bit of cash, the temptation is to treat yourself because you've been depriving yourself for so long. You want to feel normal for a second. Don't do it. If you take that cash and buy the high-quality work boots or the dentist appointment to fix the cavity before it becomes a root canal, you are effectively buying your future freedom. You are paying off the poor tax so you never have to pay it again. So, here's your actionable step. Audit your life for vampire costs. Look at where you are bleeding money simply because you don't have money. Are you paying late fees? Are you buying single rolls of paper towels? Identify the biggest leak, then ruthlessly cut everything else until you have the cash to plug that specific leak. You are buying your way out of the trap, one pair of boots at a time. I won't lie to you and say this is an even playing field. It is not. It takes 10 times as much effort to get from $0 to $10,000 as it does to get from $10,000 to $100,000. The wind is in your face at the start. But once you understand that being poor is a mathematical penalty, you can stop blaming yourself for being bad with money and start attacking the penalties themselves. You stop playing their game, and you start playing yours. You buy the boots that last. You buy the freedom to say no to the bad loan. And eventually, you walk right out of the hole. If this video sparked something in you, if you realized you have been paying the poverty premium without even knowing it, do me a favor. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. We don't talk about this stuff enough. We talk about the wins, but we rarely talk about the traps. Hit that subscribe button because we are going to keep breaking down these obscure financial truths until we all have the high-quality boots. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.